Good afternoon, folks. It's very nice meeting all of you. I hope you have a wonderful morning and making new friends. So let's have a brief introduction of my very interesting panel. So start from myself. My name is Catherine. I am a managing partner of Yuan Capital, a private equity fund managing $7 billion assets. We specialize in AI investment in health tech, fintech, sustainability, and future mobility industries. Prior to that, I hold several executive positions of Microsoft, GE, Oracle, Baidu, in charge of AI, cloud computing, and digital transformations. Additionally, I'm also serving on a few influential boards as board director, board advisor. For example, Wollheim Insurance, Swire Coca-Cola, Airbus, and Ontario Tech Talent. So pass on to Massimo.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm Massimo. I'm the CEO and CTO of Altilia AI. We are also at the booth 705 into the exhibition area. We build a platform for intelligent document processing. We use large language models that are now very famous. Everyone knows what ChatGPT is today and what ChatGPT can do for everyone. We use the same models to manage documents within enterprises, and we build also the infrastructure that enable any business to leverage these models to manage any kind of document. I'm also a researcher of the Italian National Research Council, and I come from Italy, as my accent probably explain easily to you. Thank you.
All right, I'm Wollheim. I'm originally from Brazil, living here in LA for the last year. I'm a partner and EVP of growth and people at CI&T. CI&T is a Brazilian original company, now a global company, spread worldwide, 6,000 people. And we help companies like Domino's, Coca-Cola, J&J to develop their digital strategies around the world.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Driscoll. I'm here representing AT&T CSO office, where I lead advanced analytics and AI, the purpose of which is to connect our customer and protect them from the bad guy. Just by way of background, I've been involved in this space for over 2 decades, initially in research, then spent some time in financial services where we learned the different aspects of that and perfected our skills, only to come here back to AT&T to help with cybersecurity.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yuan. I'm Vice President of Engineering at Newfront. Newfront is an insurance tech company focused on driving digital transformation in the business insurance and employee experience sector. And when we do the digital transformation, we use various technologies, of course, including AI. Prior to my current job, I worked for Facebook when it was still called Facebook, and the Coursera and the Lyft.
Well, thank you very much. So today our topics talk about mainly AI operations for business and technology leaderships. When we talk about this topic, people will think of, it's very hard to land AI and make sure it can success and scale in the organization, because it requires not just technical capabilities, organization change, but also talents, strategic decision making as well. So in the interest of time, we won't be able to cover all these key challenges that we're facing. We selected a few major challenges that will be relevant to most of the enterprise and small medium companies. So we start with the one interesting question is, AI has been around for decades. Well, then why generative AI so make it so popular today? What is so hard for the non-tech companies to adopt AI? So pass on to Massimo, and you feel free to jump in.
The reason is technical and also related to usability, because AI is a term born 50, 60 years ago, but deep learning changed this perspective almost 10 years ago, with the deep learning and then transformers and other architecture of a deep neural network. Everything has been enabled to use AI in an easy way within enterprises. At the same time, what happened a few months ago shown that AI is becoming a tool that can be used by everyone. So the reason why AI is becoming famous is because everyone can access, everyone not only in the society, but in particular into the enterprises, because there are ways now to make AI very productive for the enterprise, to make AI a tool that can be used by everyone into business processes. And this is the reason why it is becoming very famous, and is also creating a new, quite industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah, I would just totally agree with that. I would always remind to thanks ChatGPT for putting us, in front of this opportunity. I think it, it will probably play a less relevant role that we think today, but it played a starting point relevant role. And to the question of enterprise, I think there's an interesting aspect that the main block of the enterprise world to embrace this revolution, as Massimo said, is us, is human intelligence, is leadership, is the way we block the whole thing. We fear about it. We fear about the change. We don't embrace it because it threatens ourselves, our own careers, our future, and we have more questions than answers. So that's something that I'm pretty interested in, and I think we should, change management, mindset change are things that we need to work alongside with the technology changes that we're facing. I think this is an enormous opportunity for change for all of us.
Yeah, I think just to go on about sort of its popularity, when we look at what's happened over the past, say, 3 to 5 years, machine learning, deep learning, AI has moved from what I would say the lab to Main Street. And there have been some very highlighted success cases that we can all point to that we see day to day, whether it be autonomous driving, whether it be chatbots, whether it be things like anomaly detection for purposes of finding the bad guy. These are things that we can see and observe, and it's changing the way we do life, which makes it impactful. And this is just the beginning. Why hasn't it happened before? Lots of reasons. If you think back, certainly these algos, I think, as Massimo had pointed out, have been back around since the 50s. That's not new. What is new is compute, cloud, availability of data, right? And with that also comes a lot of challenges, right? How do you make this work? It's not simple, it's complex. Requires a team, requires different skills, and requires a lot of collaboration to make it happen. We were successful at AT&T to deploy our first end-to-end AI application for detecting bots, but that came with a lot of challenge. And it's a learning experience, and it's a continuous learning experience.
And I would just add, how do we make this right? Not only work, but work right. Right? In this conference, I think everyone here, unless someone is here by chance, it's interested in working with that, right? So how do we make that right?
Yeah, since you brought this up, so AI is when a business leader thinking, how do we develop an AI strategy that can fully align with the business objectives instead of your personal hobbies or departmental pilot projects? How do we prioritize AI initiatives and integrate AI with the overall business operations and handling the change management? So can each of you share your learnings and best practice and your success? How do you, implement the AI operations in your organization?
Let's start with Lynn that I interrupted. Sorry, Lynn.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, so I think in terms like AI operations and building AI applications, one practice that we see most of the times proven useful and really helpful is to always start small. And there are various kind of AI applications. I would never say that building AI applications is straightforward, but we all know that building certain type of AI applications for certain type of a small use case is relatively more straightforward than the others. And especially within a company that requires lots of mentality shift or change management, start small and identify a specific use case will always be very helpful because business leaders always ask, okay, there's another new technology, pretty fancy coming up, then what, so what, right? And what is the ROI of that, and what's gonna be, how it's gonna be beneficial to our business, etc. Another thing that I feel particularly helpful in practice is also to drive some high-level general principles when building applications. In my industry, it's a little bit special because we operate in the business insurance side. And the business insurance, when we work with clients, if something goes wrong, there's a significant financial implications and sometimes legal implications to our clients. That is actually one of the biggest reasons that it's pretty high-touch sale and high-touch service. So if someday we say that, okay, yesterday 10 people talking to you, servicing you, and tomorrow it's always going to be machine-generated answers, it's going to be machine serving you, it will not really make everyone happy. So in our company, we developed such like AI principles in early days. And one of the principles we had extensive debating and discussion is we will always favor human in the loop whenever we build AI applications. But it really helps build trust, not only with our clients, but also build trust with our internal business stakeholders and drive some change management slightly easier than before.
Yeah,
Thank
Lynn touches on two really good points. One, start small, well-defined objectives that people can see and measure and for which you can deliver on in short periods of time. It's a journey, it's a long journey, but you can chunk it out into small pieces. The second thing that I heard, and I think that I just want to emphasize is it's AI, machine learning is a tool. And in combination with us, subject matter experts, we can provide that balance between what we think is right, what we think is not so right, and then take the appropriate corrective actions to do so.
Any more add-on comments?
Yeah, I can add just what I discovered in my experience to build AI applications and also discussing with the customers in large organizations, insurances, banks, because we have customers mainly in the financial service area. What we suggest is to think big but start small. And what we do is essentially to understand which are the most important problems organization would like to solve by AI, and focus on very specific use cases and work around these use cases in order to create an AI culture. Because you need to take on board all the stakeholders, all the users. There is a fear in changing, and AI is creating a higher fear in this period because people have fear to lose the work, to lose the way they are used to work, and so on. So there is an organizational and technological set of problems to address while demonstrating the real ROI of an AI application. And so what we do usually is to address all these problems at all and guiding the organization to assess all these problems and face all these problems together. But the first problem is a mind changing, usually in the business transformation and in digitalization of business processes around the world.
Getting to Lynn's point, I would just add that we launched at CI&T what we call CI&T Flow. That is a platform exactly focused on principles or foundation for the enterprise world, which I think is very important, like ethics, security, legacy, compliance, privacy. All those things should, be structured in a way that you can scale. Otherwise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But combining this with what Lynn just said, having principles, and with what Michael said, we combining human agents with AI agents, right? I think that's a powerful combination, and it's not about replacing or all that. It's not about like, oh, humans will never be replaced. Yes, they will, but the combination is really powerful, and understanding what the combination is really, really powerful, and that's the tipping point we're living now.
So it's basically using AI to empower people, not replace people.
Yeah, very good. Well said. So, we all mentioned that the technology, it's enabler. So it's particularly right in AI operations. So when we talk about AI operations, and the company can always optimize the value through taking an end-to-end approach. So collaboration is really crucial. So how do we bring the different teams towards the same goal? How do we manage the skepticism from the business department? The P&L leader always keen on prove your ROI, prove your outcome. And so, but technology leader, well, they fully understand the complexity and the difficulties and risk. So collaboration is really the key. It's very important pillars and ensure the AI operation success. So can you share, how do you foster a collaboration environment? How do you bring the data scientists, the engineers and technical team with business leaders and with the P&L and groups leaders and towards the same goal?
Yeah, I think,
Michael, thank you.
yeah, I can start. So look, as I think you can all appreciate, you can't be an expert in everything, and this is a collaborative sport. In the sense that we're bringing a lot of different skill sets together, all of which collectively adds a ton of value. But for that to work, the starting place is setting up with shared goals and objectives. So everyone has the same eye on the same targets, right? And then away from that, the whole series of things that we'd go to, which would include building these cross-functional teams in a way that there's shared knowledge, that there's shared objectives, that that there's continual communication and channels for communication by which the ball can continue to get pushed forward. That's just a start.
Okay, I can go. So for my company, in terms of collaboration between software engineer, data scientists, data engineers, it's not a particular challenge because I manage the groups. And so at the beginning of this year, we put together a task force, basically selecting the really high-performing, the senior engineers from different teams, and then try to prove a concept and productionize some of the early use cases. And collaborating and get buy-in from business stakeholders is obviously a bigger challenge and a pretty common challenge. So one practice we found pretty useful is early this year we hosted a hackathon, and hackathon is a very much common thing for any tech company. We do it a couple of times every year, but what is special this time is we invited all the business stakeholders and the business operators and come and join us and brainstorm ideas and be a part of the projects together. And then we successfully created the momentum and excitement across the company. And what is pretty interesting is after the hackathon, I do have business partners coming to me every couple of weeks asking me, when can we productionize their idea? And then I'm like, okay, we don't have enough resources. What about we go to talk to the CEO together? So that kind of a momentum actually makes the collaboration and makes align the incentives between the tech team and also the business team slightly easier than before.
Just to add that we use a methodology focused to let all the different teams that are involved in the creation of AI solution, what we do is to start from the user needs, because different parts of different teams have different goals. And usually they try to change things and to move things, trying to answer to their needs. So what we do is to have in mind always the user needs as something, as a principal idea, and then move all the resources and all the needs of the team, keeping in mind that there is a user in the other side. And for this reason, the engineering team that usually try to over-engineer things, this is the same everywhere. Or for example, the business team that need to get the most of the ROI without implementing or spending so much. So you have to balance all these different interests, but keeping in mind the interest of the final users. Because if the final user don't like what you are doing, because someone of you said that AI is something that must collaborate with the user, not substitute the user or overwhelm the user. So this is the only way to make AI something really useful for the enterprise. And this drives all the collaborations we usually create between teams and different stakeholders.
I would just add 2 points. I think psychological safety is more necessary than ever because uncertainty is higher than ever. Even if you consider yourself an expert, tomorrow morning you don't know much of what happened today. And from a leadership perspective, I would add that orchestration is probably a better model. I'm in love with that. I'm writing a book, The Art of People and Business Orchestration. I think it's such a complex world, with human agents and AI agents working together, that orchestration is the only answer for leaders to get to the other side of that complex equation.
It is indeed, so it's arts and science projects, so requires both technical but also strategic thinking and well collaborate, bring the people, on board, the cultivated potentials. So the next topic, Nick, major challenges that business facing today is the AI infrastructure and the scalability. It's easy to launch MVP. It's easy to achieve success in AI pilot projects, but how do we scale that? So how do we build up an infrastructure that provide the scalability, can satisfy increasing amount of users, data, and business growth while not compromising our quality, cost, and this efficiency? So can you share your best practice and your key takeaways when you implement very successful AI operations? How do you build up a robust AI infrastructure? And how do you ensure this scalability to meet the business growth?
We'll start. What we suggest to our customers when they are doing a vendor selection is to understand some aspects of the technology. First of all, now is the time of no code or low code infrastructure, because things must be keep easier as possible. Then there is the model drift and data drift problem that must be addressed from the beginning, because if you do something at a scale and then when you change the scale you have to do everything again, this is something too much consuming in terms of resource and time. And then you must consider infrastructure that are easy to run and also ready to be consumed by the users. Because if you have to implement too much when you are in front of an AI solution, probably this costs a lot for companies. So there is a sort of blueprint to follow in this, and we propose also that to our customers to drive them to the best possible choice in terms of efficiency and costs.
Yeah, I think it's a big dilemma, right? Because everyone wants to experiment the more they can, but the infrastructure is not there. So how you balance the investments you're going to put out there, right? So if you go crazy experimenting, you probably going to have compliance problems, privacy problems, all kind of, maybe good results on the other side. So the basic that we created at Flow, CI&T Flow, was exactly thinking about that. We have 150 plus clients around the world in all segments, in all regions of the world. So if we can customize, systematize, create a methodology, organize that, and that is, we can grab the learning and share it with other clients. So that's the concept, right? So a little bit of, instead of our clients having to do all the investments, we are doing piece of the investment and organizing and learning, and the things that don't work or things that don't make any more sense, we shut them down, and we open new stuff. Once we work with different industries, different parts of the world, we're in different stages of development of the enterprise world. So that's the whole concept of Flow, with a solid architecture behind it. Even to start, we found that we had 5 founding alpha clients that are developing this with us. So we got, worldwide 5 big companies to co-found the foundations of Flow together from different industries, from different areas of the world, so with different approaches, within different legacy systems. So we have a kind of a first step of a foundation of something that can scale, right? And doesn't need all the investment in the world of something that is not tested yet.
Michael, can you share some of the criteria you've been applying to lead AT&T AI projects?
I think the starting place is, and we'll come back to where we started earlier, right? Which was, how do you go about setting clear requirements? And it's hard to do when you're looking at sort of a long vision. But if you come back to the thought of, hey, we're going to chunk this out into small POCs, each of those POCs themselves effectively build on each other, from which you can quickly see what the requirements are. And that around that, you start to build a platform whereby you have scalability, where you can foster collaboration, common tools, place to land the data, how you're going to treat that data, that process and those pipelines. The costs then become more apparent, but in smaller size. So you're not making as large of a commitment at time zero. Rather, you're making a commitment to make incremental commitments over time with very clear gates and goals. You hit them, you grow. You go back, you learn, you recast, you take another step. We've worked that way. We started with a platform that has served us quite well. And there's aspects of what we can see that won't change over time, that we can start to use more specialized solutions. And I think that's the kind of decision you need to be able to have a baseline that everybody can contribute to, one that's not going to, I like to say, break the bank, but lead you down a strong growth path.
Well, I think infrastructure, it is a key, but the other aspect of the project AI operation is really data. So data availability, data accessibility, and very robust data governance framework will ensure the transparency, trust of the data, consistency of the data, and also provide a better compliance with the regulation requirements and also effective data management. So this is a very difficult piece of AI operations. And in fact, the data is one of the standing topics in the beginning of data mining era. So it's been there for ages. So now we're back to the, data governance and data topics again. So how do you develop a robust data governance structure? How to provide, ensure data availability? So it's a lot of things like privacy, security, data cleansing, data collections, and lots of aspects, including in these topics. So feel free to share your best practice and your success in this topic.
I will start again because I'm close to you, so it's always my turn. Beside all the problems that are very famous and known about data curation, data cleaning, and so on, since the data warehouse era that we know these problems, now there are further problems. For example, the privacy, the alignment of the data sets with the scope of the application, the security, and also the trustworthiness of the data are new problems that we have to address now. For example, in our platform, we have a tool that enables to create the data sets and also to curate the data sets, because in the AI era, also the datasets creation is something that must be collaborative with users, because the only agent that can say that a dataset is aligned with the scope of the use case, that is trustworthy and so on, is the human being. So we cannot leverage automatic procedures to say that a dataset comply with the regulations, with the privacy rules and so on. So this is a challenge for all the vendors of AI technologies, the tech giants and also small companies like us. And we have to solve the usual problems like data drift and other problems, technical problems that we have. But at the same time, we have to combine humans and machines to keep data clean and also aligned with the scopes of the usage of AI.
Lynn, can you jump in? I know that's your job, so can you share some of your best practice?
Yeah, I want to share some perspective on the data quality. I know that in very recent months, especially because of the ChatGPT and this generative AI hype, so every company is basically talking about AI. But I always think that AI itself will not be a strategy, and it's just a tool. It's like 10 years ago, no one's going to say that, okay, cloud computing or AWS will be my strategy, because you know that in the next couple of years, everyone's going to move to cloud. And today is a similar with AI, and everyone is moving to AI. And if we view it as a tool, then it has to be a part of the company's total or holistic business strategy and the technology strategy. And when it speaks to data, we all know that the structured, clean data, and even with a smaller volume, is always better than dirty data. And the industry sector that we're operating in, the insurance, is famous for extensive amount of data, but also famous for pretty dirty and hard to consume data. And my company, in particular, we've been doing digital transformation and building softwares in the business insurance world for many years, even before this very recent hype of AI. And the software we're building ways to serve the clients and with the insurance carriers, and also built for insurance brokers and servicing teams. It actually helps us collect structured and clean data by standardizing the workflows, by standardizing the operations. So people always ask, like, why do I give up the legacy system? Why do I move to this new system? I need to learn the new process, the new standard, how to operate it. Obviously, there are many, many different reasons, but one of the reasons is because we want to have a structured and clean data. That was actually started happening many, many years ago. So I think that as business leaders or as tech leaders, thinking about the technology strategy, thinking about the AI as a part of the strategy, data access is something that we have to think ahead many, many years before, because anything you start collecting and start investing today will probably pay off in a few years. And when we build AI applications, when we scale AI applications, essentially, many companies will use similar techniques. Many companies will use a similar infrastructure and AI models. And what will make a differentiated competitive advantage? Data will probably be one of the keys.
Let me throw some controversy here. Obviously, from a more basic standpoint, I totally agree. AI shouldn't be a strategy, but I think it's changing the world in the way we put ourselves a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal to, by the end of this year, all of our teams, we have 6,000 people around the world, will be AI assisted. So that will change. It's much more than a tool. It's completely different from the whole digital world. It's completely different from cloud or whatever in the past. Obviously, it is a tool. I do agree with that piece, but I think it's a tool that changes so much everything, and that we might not have to have an AI strategy. I agree with that with you, Lynn, on that point. But we might need to understand what we're going to do in our companies with AI. It's a little bit different from having an AI strategy, but assuming it will be a reality, assuming everyone will be assisted by a bunch of tools, even in our leadership roles. I wrote a few articles about that. Sooner than later, every email, every chat conversation that we have, WhatsApp conversation we have at work, will be assisted. And if this tool is reading our data, which we will allow, this tool might even play better leadership role than ourselves, right? So, because the tool knows us, knows our decisions in the past, can repeat that. Oh, no, we don't do repetitive work. We do. We basically do repetitive work all the time, right? So how many emails you answer a day that could have basically the same answer and could be done by an AI assistant? No, yeah, maybe all of them, right? Almost all of them. No, there's two or one that and so I don't disagree, but I think it's a moment where we should, and it's super exciting for me, but it's a tipping point. And it's beautiful to read in a book, the tipping point, but when a tipping point comes to you, your company, your life, your job, your career, your product, it is a moment to stop and think and say, hey, I agree with you, Lynn, not what my AI strategy is, but in an AI world what my strategy is, right? Because it's different than, oh, in a cloud world, right? I need to change from premise to cloud. Obviously, I'll have some time. I need to put some money there. But it's not a big change, right? So systems would be systems. They will be running instead on premise, they will be running on the cloud. Now it's completely different and more exciting in my point of view.
So Bob, you mentioned a very interesting topic related people. So we all impacted, and that impact is profound. So people is really the most, in my opinion, the most important factor that impact on our AI operation success. Whenever large size or small size, you embark on this AI journey, then you face a scarcity of the talent. So how do you bring up the potential of your employees? How do you upskill, reskill them? And how do you prepare the future in digital talents and for the business? This is one of the key, crucial, I would say, most crucial pillars to ensure the success. So can you feel free to share your opinion?
Yeah, we are used to say that we need, when we sell our platform, we say that our scope is to democratize the usage of AI. What means to democratize the usage of AI today? The meaning is changing very rapidly because we have to do with machines that passed the Turing test. This is something that is changing the world because it's not the usual technology revolution. I agree with you and a bit disagree with Lin because it is not the same technology change from on-premise to cloud or from database to data warehouse. Now there is something going on that is more deep than in the past, because this is impacting the life of everyone in the usual life and also in the working life. And we will be in an AI world, and this will change everything. So also the talent, because we are changing the way people learn. We are changing the way people work with their tasks. So what is the direction here? In my opinion, the direction is to lower the barrier to entry into AI, because companies should buy technologies that enable everyone to apply. And the ChatGPT become very famous, and OpenAI, Anthropic, and so on. These companies are becoming very famous because they are lowering the barrier to entry into AI. And we have to do the same everywhere. And because we cannot have a so large number of talents to help companies to build their own AI. But we need a plethora of technologies and platforms that lower the barrier to entry for business people to use the technology into the business.
Yeah, I think companies should be learning spaces, right? So I don't like this cool word a lot, but I think learning spaces, and hopefully AI will help that to become, right? So I think the relationship with people and companies has been changing a lot since pandemic. It hasn't stopped. We're just like recovering a little bit. And I think the companies that will succeed in the future will be the ones that are more of a learning environment. And maybe AI will help that to be kind of more self-sufficient, generative, as we say.
So, Michael, can you share from the corporate perspective?
Well, I think that, look, mentoring programs is a big piece of, taking your experience. And some of us have been, say, around the corner a couple times, have the little bit of wealth of experience that we can share with those that are coming up the ladder, as it were. And that's a big piece of getting where people are coming into this as a first time, or those that haven't been exposed to it, trying to understand what the short pitfalls are. And it's the pitfalls really that, is where you learn. When things go right, no one seems to care. When things go wrong, everyone's like, well, wait a minute, you told me something else, right? So that's as a old boss would tell me, it's like, your job is to manage surprises. Don't let any surprises happen, right? So part of that is getting everyone on the same page, bringing them up to speed as to what to look out for. And you can do that in a number of ways. I truly believe that lunch and learns training is an ongoing, right? So you create and foster a culture where people feel free to communicate and ask questions. I think someone said in an earlier session today, asking questions and being curious. And that's what you have to encourage, because that's where growth comes from. And you get a lot of buy-in from that, and you gain a lot of velocity from it in terms of what I would say organizational growth.
Lynn, can you just share from the pre-IPO, very successful startup companies, and how do you attract those talents and integrate it with your teams and bring them on board?
I think hiring is just one aspect, and the other aspect is the others share is just that having an open-minded, ever-learning, ever-growing culture at the company is actually very important. It's not only for attracting talent, but also up-leveling the current team.
Okay, thank you very much. I think time's up, and today we touched a little bit about the some key challenges, and from strategy, operation, data governance, infrastructure, and talent perspective. Well, hopefully you all enjoy this learning journey, and when we embark on AI questions. Very good questions. Michael or just Massimo, Lynn, feel free to jump in.
We have in-house team, so we don't really hire contractors. So I don't have this experience.
Yeah, we tried the most we can to train people inside and give opportunity. And even for the ones that ignore the thing, probably are the more open people to learn fast. Right. So
I can answer from my own experience. And so when we started the AI journey for Bupa Insurance, and so we do hire some in-house, and we call catcher. So as the architect and product manager, but we also hire some data scientists and machine learning as outsourced service provider. So jointly work on the pilot projects. During the journey, so the pilot projects, and we will need to make sure that we achieve a couple of objectives. Validated technologies, the products and business operations and process, and also knowledge transferring. So throughout this project, so these catcher, and they need to build up some framework, for example, so data governance framework, and also operations framework for the project that can be replicated to later on, so throughout the organization. So contractor is a good approach in the beginning, but make sure that we catch up the capability, and over the journey, build up the infrastructures, the process, which is, I think is equivalent important than the people, because building up organization capability does take time. You can afford to hire all those top-notch talents, and it could be very expensive. How do we upskill and reskill, and through on-job trainings and through all those best practice, you just gear around and bring your team together with you. Yeah. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody, the 5 of you. And if there's any more questions, you take her out to the hallway. Thank you very much.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.